In 2014, a seemingly harmless comedy turned into a global controversy. The Interview, co-directed by Seth Rogen and starring James Franco, was designed to be a light-hearted satire. However, it inadvertently became the catalyst for one of the most notorious cyber attacks in history. The story began in Sony Pictures' bustling studios in Burbank, California. The team behind The Interview was focused on creating laughs, unaware of the brewing tensions across the Pacific. The plot of the movie, which involved a fictional assassination attempt on North Korea's leader, sparked outrage in Pyongyang. Trailers and teasers had barely hit the internet when North Korea labeled the film an act of war and threatened merciless retaliation if it were released. What started as a comedy quickly escalated into a geopolitical drama. As the threats mounted, the stakes became clear. Then, on the morning of November 24, 2014, the unthinkable happened. Sony employees logging into their computers were greeted with an ominous red skeleton and a chilling message hacked by GOP. This was no prank. The Guardians of Peace, the group behind the attack, launched a devastating cyber war against Sony, leaking sensitive data and paralyzing the studio. A comedy intended to entertain had inadvertently triggered an international incident, blurring the lines between art, politics, and digital warfare. When The Interview was announced, it seemed like just another bold satire. Starring Seth Rogen and James Franco, the movie followed two American journalists recruited by the CIA to assassinate North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. But this audacious plot would ignite an international controversy no one could have predicted. The idea for the film surfaced in March 2013, when pre-production began. By October, principal photography was underway in Vancouver, wrapping up in December 2013. Directed by Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen, The Interview was a joint effort by Columbia Pictures, L-Star Capital, and Point Grey Pictures, with Sony Pictures releasing set to distribute it. The cast featured James Franco as Dave Skylark, a flamboyant talk show host, and Seth Rogen as Aaron Rappaport, his loyal producer. Together, they crafted a comedic adventure, but one that unknowingly crossed a dangerous geopolitical line. From its inception, The Interview was positioned as a bold, humorous critique of authoritarianism. Yet, behind the scenes, it was becoming something far more consequential, a lightning rod for tensions between Hollywood and Pyongyang. The cinematic firestorm was just beginning. The Interview was more than just a comedy. It became a political powder keg, fueled by its audacious plot. In the film, talk show host Dave Skylark and producer Aaron Rappaport are recruited by the CIA for a mission that seemed both absurd and impossible: to interview and assassinate North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, portrayed by Randall Park. When the film's premise was revealed, it immediately drew international attention, particularly from North Korea. The regime, infamous for its intolerance of dissent or mockery, swiftly condemned the film. By June 2014, tensions were at a boiling point. Through its state-run news agency, KCNA, North Korea issued a stern warning, labeling the film as an act of terrorism and promising merciless retaliation if it were released. The controversy put Sony Pictures in a difficult spot. Originally slated for release in October 2014, the film was delayed until December 24th in an attempt to ease tensions. Reports suggested that Sony even made edits to tone down certain scenes, hoping to make the movie less inflammatory. But these efforts did little to appease Pyongyang. The North Korean government's threats only intensified, turning The Interview into a high-stakes flashpoint. What started as irreverent humor had morphed into a geopolitical drama, with Sony caught in the crossfire of artistic freedom and international diplomacy. The world braced for what was to come, and the storm didn't take long to arrive. On the morning of November 24th, 2014, Sony Pictures Entertainment employees began their day as usual, unaware that their digital world was about to collapse. Suddenly, computer screens flickered and went black, replaced by an eerie image of a red skeleton and a chilling message hacked by GOP. The Guardians of Peace had infiltrated Sony's network, launching a cyber attack that would send shockwaves across the globe. This wasn't a simple data breach, it was a calculated strike. The hackers didn't just steal information, they weaponized it. The leaked data exposed personal details of Sony employees, including social security numbers, home addresses, and private emails. Unreleased films such as Annie and Still Alice were pirated and spread online, jeopardizing millions in revenue. But the most damaging leaks came from the sensitive emails of Sony executives, revealing embarrassing comments about Hollywood stars and exposing the studio's internal dynamics. The fallout from these revelations strained relationships across the industry. At the center of it all was an ultimatum: Sony must withdraw The Interview. The comedy's fictional depiction of an assassination plot against North Korean leader Kim Jong-un had enraged Pyongyang. The Guardians of Peace demanded the film's cancellation, threatening further chaos and even hinting at terrorist attacks on theaters planning to show the movie. The threats were no joke. What started as a cyber attack now carried real-world consequences, leaving Sony and the world grappling with questions of freedom of expression versus safety. The stage was set for a battle that went far beyond a single film. The controversy surrounding the interview reached a breaking point when major theater chains, including Carmike Cinemas, Regal Entertainment Group, and AMC Theaters, announced they would not screen the film. Concerned about the potential for violence, Sony made the difficult decision to cancel the movie's formal premiere and mainstream release. Yet, the story didn't end there. In a bold and unconventional move, Sony released the interview digitally on December 24th, 2014, allowing viewers to watch it from the safety of their homes.
It's like, I still meet people to this day who are like, oh, I had like people's identities were stolen. People's like, I know a guy, this was a funny one. All the like payrolls of all the movies were published because of the hack. And a guy I'm friends with was working on one of a small movie we had made in Vancouver. And the payroll things was published. And he found out that he was the absolute lowest paid person on the entire movie's payroll.
The following day, the film received a limited theatrical release, defying the threats and giving audiences a chance to see the movie at select venues. Despite the turmoil, the interview found an audience. Its digital release proved to be a success, generating significant online viewership. However, the aftermath of the attack left deep scars. Sony suffered an estimated $171 million in financial losses, and the fallout led to the resignation of Amy Pascal, the company's co-chairperson. In May 2015, the hack had rocked the studio to its core, revealing the vulnerabilities of even the most prominent corporations. Intelligence quickly attributed the attack to North Korea, calling it a retaliatory strike against the film's provocative storyline. Although the North Korean government denied any involvement, the hack underscored the growing reality of state-sponsored cyber warfare. For Sony, the incident was a wake-up call. It highlighted the critical need for stronger cybersecurity measures in an era where digital vulnerabilities can have profound real-world consequences. The interview, once intended to be a simple comedy, had become a symbol of resilience in the face of unprecedented threats. The Sony hack was more than a cyber attack, it was a wake-up call for the entertainment industry in the world. For Sony, it forced a comprehensive overhaul of its cybersecurity measures, with significant investments in new technologies and protocols to prevent future breaches. The attack underscored the fragility of digital security in an increasingly connected world, revealing just how vulnerable even the largest corporations could be to cyber warfare. The breach had far-reaching consequences, sparking debates about the balance between creative freedom and security. It raised the question, how far might a nation go to silence dissent? For the entertainment industry, the hack served as a chilling reminder of the risks that come with producing provocative content in a globalized and politically sensitive landscape. The fallout extended beyond Sony's boardrooms. President Barack Obama publicly criticized Sony's decision to pull the interview, arguing that giving in to such threats set a dangerous precedent. In response, Sony CEO Michael Linton clarified that the decision wasn't solely theirs. It was driven by major theater chains refusing to screen the film out of safety concerns. Determined to salvage the situation, Sony authorized approximately 300 independent theaters to show the interview on Christmas Day, December 25, 2014. Simultaneously, the studio made the film available on digital platforms like Google Play. Despite the initial fears, no incidents occurred during its release. The controversy surrounding the film generated significant public interest, turning the interview into Sony's most successful digital release, earning $40 million in rentals. The Sony hack changed the game. It exposed the power and reach of state-sponsored cyber attacks and highlighted the need for stronger defenses in a digital-first world. The incident didn't just impact Sony, it reshaped the entertainment industry's approach to cybersecurity and set a precedent for how global conflicts can play out in cyberspace. In the end, the interview became more than just a comedy. It symbolized the intersection of creative freedom, digital security, and geopolitical tension, a reminder of the complexities of making art in the modern era. The Sony hack went far beyond a single movie or studio. It became a flashpoint in the fraught relationship between the United States and North Korea. In the aftermath, North Korea accused President Barack Obama of forcing Sony to distribute the interview, escalating diplomatic tensions between the two nations. The hack underscored how cyber warfare could be wielded not only as a tool of disruption, but also as a means to influence international relations and corporate strategies.
For businesses, the breach was a sobering reminder of the vulnerabilities. It prompted companies across industries to reevaluate their cybersecurity frameworks. Recognizing that even the most powerful corporations could fall victim to such attacks, crisis management strategies shifted as well, with businesses placing greater emphasis on resilience and preparedness things in the face of potential cyber attacks. The Sony hack left an incredible mark on Hollywood, demonstrating the risk tied to creating provocative content for the corporate world. It was a call to action. The entertainment industry in particular began rethinking how it navigated politically sensitive topics, knowing that such a project could become the center of a diabolical storm. More broadly, the incident highlighted the interconnectedness of our digital world. It revealed the vulnerabilities of both nations and corporations, the cyber attacks and their ability to disrupt global systems. The hack exposed the fine line between creative freedom, setting a precedent for how future crises might be unfold. The Sony hack was more than a breach. It was a defining moment for cybersecurity.